They say that good things come in small packages, and in this series, that has proven to be absolutely true. The 5th race of the season is about to commence, and of the 5 so far, 4 have been at short tracks. Tonight will be no exception, as the Precision Racing League NASCAR Truck Series storms into the city known by locals as RVA, Richmond, Virginia. The competition last week at Bristol was the most fierce we've seen yet to this season, and we take those emotions and passion behind the wheel to Richmond Raceway tonight for even more action. And you'll see it all here live on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hello and welcome to the Old Dominion for the second time this year. Calling the shots up in the booth tonight is yours truly, Nick Schmeg, and I'm once again being joined alongside by Adam Lindgren. Sean Crackers Ambrose is our director for this evening, and as always, he'll be using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Adam, the parade of short tracks continues, and you'd think that after a while they all kind of start to blend together. However, Richmond has been known to provide some unique challenges of its own. Why don't you tell us a little more about this joint?
No problem, Nick. You know, some drivers I've known have called Richmond International Raceway not a short track per se, but a short-ish track. Characterized by high G's, high banking, and high stakes, this Richmond, Virginia track sees Bristol's half-mile oval and raises it an extra quarter mile, clocking it at about 0.7 miles or 1.21 kilometers, making it an interesting in-between track for our PRL truckers to tackle. Its 14-degree sweeping corners, flat back straight, and banked dogleg front stretch make Richmond look like many other NASCAR tracks, but its relatively short length really makes it a beast all of its own. Originally a dirt half-mile oval that hosted both auto racing and horse racing alike, Richmond has been through 4 different track changes to finally arrive on the banked beast we know and love today. While the NASCAR Gander Truck Series may not visit this fast, fun facet of American auto culture anymore, that won't stop us from enjoying these Precision Racing League trucks tackle its bodacious bank turns as I stop my yapping and we put down the throttle on our lap around Richmond International Raceway in our GSRC lap guide.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Global Sim Racing Channel. My name is Brian Yazik and today I'll be taking you for a spin around Richmond in the GSRC Silverado. Richmond is a fun little track, but this truck tends to lumber around here, and I'll show you here on your quick lap. So, going into turn 1, into the brake zone here, find the bottom. This truck does not want to turn in the middle of the corner, so what you have to fear coming off of the corner is a little bit of a push-loose condition. Back down into 3, find the yellow line again, roll in, let it hit the apron there, back into the gas underneath the start-finish line. Turn 1 is a little tricky because there's not a great braking marker to find. You kind of have to figure out something for yourself. For me personally, I use the sound of the engine going off into the corner. Turn 3, however, you've got the start of the safer barrier right there. Hit the brake, find the bottom. You can kind of roll through the middle here as the run goes on, and you can move up and down between the yellow line and that seam right there. Back into the same situation here in turn 1. You can take this a little higher and actually try to diamond the corner a little bit, still watching a little bit of that plowing off. If you're used to running around here in the Cup car or the B car, you'll notice that the truck just feels tight. It feels like you're driving a cement mixer, but it's just the lack of horsepower and the aerodynamic shape of the truck. Turns 1 and 2 again, find the bottom, back off into the corner. You can get into the gas pretty early here, but again, watch that push loose. Even in turns 3 and 4, you can kind of start to run that groove, but I doubt you'll see too many people up there just because you're giving up so much time in the middle of the corner, and Richmond is really measured on how good you can get from the center off. So Richmond in the trucks is a great race. In the daytime, it's going to be hot and slick. At night, it'll be a little bit more grippy, and you'll see guys kind of stick to the bottom like it is going out of style. But underneath the sunlight, the track does loosen up a little bit and gives it a little bit more character and makes it a little bit more tricky to drive. So, with that being said, I'm Brian Yazik, and you have a great day.
And there we see a couple of laps around Richmond Raceway. That lap guide, as well as this entire broadcast tonight, is brought to you by Established Traffic Control. Founded in 2005, Established Traffic Control is a leader in traffic control and traffic safety in the state of Pennsylvania through maintaining great relationships and providing exceptional customer service. In addition to being able to provide all you need for traffic safety, ETC makes custom signs, from street signs to company logos and everything in between. These custom signs make great gifts and wall decor as well. You have a design, ETC can make it. Shipping is available as well. For more information, visit establishedtraffic.com or email Brendan Chatley at bchatley@establishedtraffic.com. Now, Adam, we have a couple of interesting things going on tonight, but before we get to the action, let's take a look at the race details.
Definitely, Nick. So we have round 5 of the PRL Truck Series right now. We've got the Silverado and the Tundra for us as our vehicles of choice. 125 laps here around Richmond with a max incident of 17. And this week we have a very interesting fact here. We have fixed setups, but we also have 85% fuel here, and that's a new rule for this week. So that's implementing this week to make sure that they don't have to do 2 stops on the longer tracks. There are no fast repairs, so these truckers are going to have to keep their trucks clean all race long, and so that's going to lead to a very, very interesting race for sure.
Absolutely, it is. Just a couple more seconds in qualifying. J.R. Smith has the pole right now. A couple of drivers, including Bradley Holly, currently setting their lap. Hopefully, he's able to get one in. And it doesn't look like he's going to be able to, which is interesting. That's going to put Bradley Holly towards the back. But let's take a look at our starting grid. J.R. Smith going to be on the pole, coming off of his big win last week at Bristol, up there with Rob Haynes in the 29 car, a truck rather, to his outside. Robert Basaw Jr. and Colton Lane will be right behind them in row 2. John LaBaff, the Martinsville winner to kick off the season opener, is going to be P5. Dominic Begine, Austin Hunter, Charles Sumner will follow, with Brendan Chatley and Mike Richter in row number 5.
Starting row number 6 in the 11th position, is going to be Alec Lumpkin. Eric Roberts coming in 12th position. We have Ray Richer in 13th on the Baker's Dozen spot. Ronald McManus alongside him on row 7 and 14th. In 15th is going to be Bradley Holly, a long way back from the front from where he was last week by the end of the race. And we have alongside him Alex Murray. And then William Hartman is going to start in 17th position. And due to a couple of penalties from last week, those are going to be our runners for this week, I believe.
Yeah, so we have a little bit of a smaller field than we have in past races, but nonetheless, sure to be an exciting one here. 125 laps, like you said earlier, Adam, around Richmond Raceway, and a couple of the drivers were struggling with the setup, the fixed setup that is in the pre-race before we went live, and we have cooler conditions out there today. Hopefully that will help. Actually, a track temperature of 82, but we do have a bit of overcast conditions here in Eastern Virginia. A lot of the drivers were kind of sliding getting into the turns. They've been struggling with that all week.
Definitely, yeah, and with the temperatures at about 80 degrees, track temp of 82 right now, that's going to jump up to 85 or 90 degrees if they get a long green flag run here. And also, as you can see, that overcast has a couple of breaks in it, so we're getting some sunshine now. That's going to increase track temperature and make traction out of the corners even more challenging, especially out of 4, where the track tends to tighten up a lot more than the drivers expect.
Yeah, it's also pretty late in the virtual day here. 6:23 virtual standard time PM, that is. So track might be cooling down. Looks like we'll be doing 1 pace lap here at Richmond. Might be 2 here, being a short track, but we'll find out. We did get a long green flag run last week at Bristol, that's for sure. It was about 85 laps, and that caused many different strategies to come into play. Tire degradation, making that all the more interesting. So it'll be interesting to see if we get the same scenarios tonight here at another short track, or like you said, a short-ish track.
Definitely, and with extra fuel, I'm curious to see whether anyone decides to go all the way. I'm guessing not, because that's a big risk, especially with the tire wear at this track, but it is a possibility that you could do if there's enough caution.
Yeah, if we get enough cautions, that's definitely something to keep in mind. It was 70% fuel for the last rounds, and like you said, due to the bigger tracks coming up in the second half of the season, with this being the halfway mark, they added up that to 85%, so a little more room to play with there. Pace car leading the field of trucks through turn number 2 and onto the backstretch right now, and this is one of those danger zones. You can see a little bit of rise of elevation coming out of turn 2, and it's getting real slippery down. So hard to not smack the backstretch wall there if you don't have your car under control. It's an interesting mix of being too tight and too loose here. It seems to be one of the major complaints from the drivers and teams alike. Pace car going to pull off into pit road, 125 laps ahead of them. It's J.R. Smith, last week's winner, who's going to take the green flag. Comes across the line and down into turn 1. Great start from everyone. Not much of an advantage, though, over the 29 of Rob Haynes.
Well, Rob Haynes hanging tough there on the outside, but J.R. Smith gets a good run down that bottom side and slots in right in front of Robert Passat Jr., who's in third position now. Colton Lane actually in third position now, passing Robert Passat Jr. on the inside.
Yeah, they're too wide behind him for third. Basaw down on the inside lane, stuck on that outside lane, and a couple of the drivers have been making that outside groove work. In practice, it'll take a while for that to get rubbered in here, I think, but now as you see John LeBaff sneak up there, trying to take fourth place away, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on that groove out there as well.
All right, we're taking a look out back behind Basaw right now. I'm interested to see whether Colton Lane maintains his he's kind of in a second lane all of his own right now through the middle of those corners. It's not really working out for him as we see the likes of John LeBaff get underneath him and dive underneath him to 3 and 4. As we're going on board with LeBaff, as he makes that pass past Colton Lane, makes it quite easily and slots up in front.
It's great to see John LeBaff get back at it. He's had a lot of bad luck since his season opener win at Martinsville. A lot of bad luck being stuck in the back, and he got a little bit of a wiggle out of turn 2. A truck sliding behind him. That's Dominic Bagine in the 66 as the caution flies. He came into Alec Lumpkin also involved, and that looks like some engine troubles for him. Let's take a look at this replay here, see what all unfolded.
Yeah, it looks like Dominic Bagine, first truck to fall prey to it being a little loose here as you get into the corner. It looks like that brake bias is set quite a bit backward here. So he's going to... Oh, it looks like they all kind of accordioned up there for a little bit. And he slides down to the bottom, and then Alec Lumpkin gets clobbered there. We're going to take a look at it from one more position here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. A little bit of a wiggle up there from John LeBaff caused Colton Lane to check up, and back further, Dominic Bagine was kind of the odd man out, had nowhere to go, and got, like you said, that mixture between being loose and getting into the back of this truck. Take a ride on board with Alec Lumpkin here. He was way back in 12th when this happened, but it did not fare well at all for him.
Yeah, I think he got some target fixation there, was just trying to go low and picking the wrong lane, and that's really easy to do. It seems like an easy thing to dodge, but it's not. You get really like fixated on somebody. When you get those brakes locked up, it's really hard to slow down. As we take a look, now we're coming back live. We're taking a look at Rob Haynes there in the second position.
And the unfortunate part about that incident between Lumpkin and Bagine there is they were both okay until that heavy contact, both of their front ends collided. Looks like that took both of their motors out as well, so with no fast repair, that's definitely an unfortunate way to end your night early here at Richmond.
And speaking of early, we have some early takers on the pits. Colton Lane getting some repairs done to his back end to make sure that aerodynamics is going to work for him. We also have Ray Richer, who is in the pits right now, as well as William Hartman. And then we also had Ronald McManus, who also pitted, as well as Lumpkin and Bagine due to their day.
William Hartman, another one of those drivers to not be able to get a qualifying time in. He saw a lot of speed out of him last week at Bristol and only came home with a P4, but despite that stat and that number, it seemed a lot faster last week. It'll be interesting to see if he can fight his way back up through the field.
Yeah, one of the things I'm loving about watching this series is that we're able to see which drivers are better at what kind of tracks, and it's really curious to see which drivers succeed at different tracks. And this being kind of an intermediate track, I guess I would say, for this series, especially for this early in the season, it'll be interesting to see who rises to the top here.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. This is the first half of the season, like I mentioned earlier, the first 5 races of the 10, and yeah, lots of short tracks here early on in the season. But if we take a look at the next 5 races, it's Talladega, and then back to a shorter track, Dover, but then you have Kansas and Charlotte, and then Lucas Oil Raceway. So that'll be very interesting because if you are one of those short track specialists, the next 5 races might not be looking too fun for you.
No, that's going to make things very difficult as we watch the pace lights go out on the Mustang GT pace car here. That's going to be a very difficult thing for the short track specialists. If they haven't gotten their points now, they're going to be really struggling to get those points later on as we get the guys who are better at the longer drafting tracks as they get more into their comfort zone.
You do get 1 drop week as well, but the bad news for someone like J.R. Smith is that I believe he missed the first round of this series, so he's essentially already taken that drop week. Now the pace car about to pull off, coming up to lap number 10, and a very early jump here from J.R. Smith in that red 33 machine, leaving Rob Haynes all alone back there in the dust. He's got the 44 of Bassal, though, coming up on the bottom.
Bassal is only able to slot in behind him as John LaBath got a good run into the corner but had to back out due to Bassal Jr. being there as we watch Austin Hunter go underneath the likes of Brendan Shatley as they go into 3 and 4 here.
Yeah, a lot less 2x2 action this time around on this restart. A lot more single file. I'm curious as to whether or not they're trying to get this long green flag run in that we talked about earlier. Rob Haynes, though, right now getting a good run for the lead.
As we take a look here, Rob Haynes fairly strong. He's taking his right tires. He's just placing them just below that white line through 1 and 2. And it seems to be working for him as he gets a good line out as we go on board with J.R. Smith.
Taking a look back, and you see how close the 29 gets to him coming out of turn 2. He gets such a big run of momentum. He's going to dive it down to the bottom here in 3, but can he make it stick? Not quite there. He's going to get a big run and a big wiggle out of the 33 of Smith. That'll help him, but that'll also help Bassal Jr. to close in on these leaders as well.
And they're just battling out up there, and I can update you that the guys who have gained quite a few positions, and they're coming up on this pack pretty quickly. Those 4 guys out front have got to get going, got to get single file, and got to stretch out. Otherwise, they're going to get caught by the pitters already.
Yeah, I have a feeling the tires are going to become a very important factor tonight because I'm also peeking at the rear end of the field, seeing a bit of shuffling. Just like in 6th place right now, they're side by side Austin Hunter. And that's Mike Richter on the bottom in the 51, trying to sneak through there.
And also here comes William Hartman, the first of the pit stop crew. He's going to go underneath Austin and Hunter now. Austin Hunter's going to get freight trained by this crew as William Hartman starts to try and work on Mike Richter up there.
Bradley Holly, that other truck there, sneaking through as well. Your points leader who did not qualify, but he's already broken inside the top 10 with that move. I'm sure he's got his sights set on the top spot in the whole field.
Just take a look at the run that Hartman is able to get on the bottom coming out of these corners. Watch him go down low here. He's going to be able to hook that yellow line and stick right underneath here and get a really good toe on Mike Richter there. As we go on board with Hartman here, take a look at his line. As Richter slides up in the middle of the corner, he's able to hold it right down and get a really good line up on the back bumper. He's going to look on the inside going into 1 and 2.
Here he comes. He took that speed that he had in Bristol, and he's bringing Holly with him through 1 and 2. He's going to slide up in front of Richter. Holly's going to be stuck on the bottom, but it looks like he's going to get this job done here in 3 and 4. And take a look behind them. Colton Lane also in the 60 truck coming up through there as well.
Colton Lane's been back that far because of his incident, because of the incident that happened early on that got him that damage, and he's already clawed his way back up into 9th position right now as he still tries to make his way past Richter.
Looks like Richter was struggling with a couple of connection issues there, but hopefully he's got that sorted out. Looks good for now. He's going to be able to hold off Colton Lane right now. That's for 8th place. Well, maybe not. Colton Lane coming back, charging hard there with a big run out of turn 2.
Take a look there in the background. Mike Richter going very high through 3 and 4. As we stay looking here at William Hartman. And here we go, taking a look now as we take a look at Richter trying to get back around, but I think Colton Lane's got this position. With the fresh tires, he's just going to pull away out of the corner.
Looking good so far for Lane. He gets that job done. He's got a big gap up to Holly and Hartman, who we saw fighting their way through that traffic as well earlier. They're trying to chase down Brendan Chatley for 5th.
And this is the farthest we've gotten into this run so far, and we're starting to see some interesting behavior with the tires. They're really having a hard time holding it down on that yellow line. But because of the way that the track has built up right now, if you take a look at the top 3, they can't really build an outside line, so it's very interesting.
Yeah, this top 3 battle is interesting. J.R. Smith pulled away a little bit. Rob Haynes under a lot of fire from Basal, and John LaBaff holding tough with him there in 4th as well.
Yeah, it looks like Basal might actually have a little bit of something here on Rob Haynes. We'll see what he can do with it. But these trucks are starting to handle pretty tight in and loose out, it looks like, based upon how they're going. You might switch on tight all around here, but taking a look, some guys are trying different lines, like Brendan Chatley in the background there, and it's not really working. It looks like hugging the yellow line is going to be the best way around this track right now.
Yeah, we've seen that if you're going to experiment with different lines, especially at a short track here in this series, that early on in the race, I think, is the time to do it. You don't want to get to the end of the race and not know where your truck handles best. Being fixed setups, there's very little you can do to change your setup throughout the race, except you can change brake bias, which is quite important here at Richmond, I think.
And I can update you and let you know that Alec Lumpkin has decided to take his truck back to the garage. He'll be done for the day. Dominic Bazine still sitting in pit lane, but he's been there for about 10 minutes, so it's likely that he's going to be out as well. As we take a look right now, Brendan Chatley right on the back bumper of John LaBaff. He's going to go to the bottom here and see whether he can make a pass.
He's got his nose underneath him just a little bit. Those orange tires of Chatley almost meeting those white tires of the Baff on the backstretch. They got so tight through there. Hartman and Holly fighting behind them as well. This is all for 4th place. Side by side at the line. LaBaff had it that time around. Chatley's still on the bottom, though. He's going to try to make it work here. Oh, the Baff moved way up the track, and Chatley hooked that yellow line perfectly.
At the same time, Chatley didn't have the greatest run off, but John LaBaff's just stuck on the outside. That's not the preferred line right now. He's gonna hug Chatley and try and keep him low, but Chatley's cleared him and is gonna pull up in front. But that's just gonna open up William Hartman to try and make the same move as well, but he's being challenged by Colton Lane.
Bradley Holly gonna move himself up into 6th. He got around Hartman behind him. Oh, John LaBaff, I think he wants to fight back for this position. He took a look down there into turn 3, and it was a defensive move from Chatley to get rid of him.
Yeah, these two are not done, not at all. John LaBaff trying to get back to him, but, well, yeah, it looks like Chatley's used up his tires a little bit trying to make that pass on LaBaff, and LaBaff is willing to use up his tires to get back to his rear bumper.
Yeah, and remember, neither of these drivers pitted earlier on. The first driver that we have that did come in is the guy right behind him, and Bradley Holly, who has moved himself all the way up to 6th. Oh, contact in front of him, though, because Chatley gets into LaBaff there. A couple more trucks involved, it looks like. Let's take a look at this.
All right, as we take a look here, take a look, and yeah, it looks like Chatley gets a little bit loose there coming out the corner, and then I'm not entirely sure what LaBaff was thinking diving down low in that corner. I mean, I guess... All right, we're going to go on board with Chatley. Our director's saying that he heard something interesting. Maybe Chatley had a misshift or decided to try and shift down to 3rd in that corner. Let's take a look here. Yeah, so he started to spin his tires coming off the corner there, and then he sticks it out, and I guess LaBaff just didn't realize he was still down there and turns in for the corner, and then they get together.
Couple of other drivers caught up in this. Bradley Holly got quite a bit of damage. He actually spun all the way around, way outside next to the wall, trying to avoid this. A couple other drivers as well I saw get slight contact through there.
Yep, and due to that long run, everybody's in the pits now. So all that pit strategy ended up working out for the likes of William Hartman. Well, actually, not for William Hartman. William Hartman and Bradley Holly end up at the back again. Hartman looks like he's going to try and take 2 tires here.
All right, we'll see how some of that strategy plays out. We have a little bit of a moment here to show you the standings. We didn't get a chance before the race started to show you these, but we do have updated standings after round 4 last week at Bristol. So let's take a look at the driver standings that we had from last week. It's a familiar face on top still. Bradley Holly there, the Texas Racing driver in the Toyota Tundra. He's got a 22-point gap over Austin Hunter, but then it gets very tight from second on back. Just 6 points separate them to 5th. Austin Hunter, Rob Haynes, William Hartman, Colton Lane are those drivers, and we also have a teams championship to keep these fans updated on.
That is correct, and the team's championship is not quite as interesting at the top, but it is very interesting for those other positions here. So Texas Racing with a big lead of 40 points, but then just 7 points behind Car Ramrod, who's in second, is Savage Drive with Hartman and Richard there. And those two are going to be battling it out here. They've already battled it out quite a bit in this race, so it'll be interesting to see how they do. 4th place is Back Row Racing, only 4 points behind them, and then only 1 point behind them is Forever Cupless Racing. So all these drivers from 2nd to 5th, all these teams are really close.
They've got a lot on the line and a lot to fight for here. Some of them having to work together, but it's a little hard to do when you get into this long stretch of short tracks that we've had, and the racing has not ceased to excite us. J.R. Smith leads after that pit stop. Robert Basaw Jr., Rob Haynes still going to be 2nd and 3rd behind him. Then it goes Chatley, Hartman, and LaBaff. A couple of guys falling down the line. Bradley Holly, one of those. He's back in 11th, still on the lead lap, though. He's got a little bit of damage. I believe he took the time to get most of that repaired. It looks like all of that repaired, actually, so the 184 should be good to go here.
Yeah, and we'll see how these guys take off on fresh tires, and we'll see whether any of them bite off a little bit more than they can chew. It's really tempting here to try and push the truck farther than it wants to go. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they do on this restart.
It's going to be about 90 laps to go. Actually, it will be exactly 90 laps to go here as they take the green flag. Pace car going to come out of turn 4 once again. J.R. Smith, he got an early jump last time. What does he do this time? He does not wait at all. He goes as soon as he can. The 44 behind him is trying to keep up, but he's got the 29 of Haynes to his inside, looking to take that position down into turn number 1.
New 2nd place driver on the start. New victim, says J.R. Smith as he takes off. Looks like Rob Haynes having a hard time clearing Robert Basaw Jr., though. Basaw hanging well on the outside as they go into 3 and 4 here.
Yeah, I thought Basaw was going to slide in line, but he says no, not at all. He's going to fight back hard on the outside. He's got a big run, but he might not have any other option because he's got a hard charging William Hartman. All right, underneath him. I did not think he was going to make that work. But Hartman put him up to 3rd place with that risky move.
Rob Haynes got extremely loose there going into 1 and 2, and that caused that caused Basaw Jr. to have to back up a little bit. So that allowed Hartman to slip right underneath, and now Brendan Chatley taking advantage and trying to go by on the inside.
Chatley trying to fend off the likes of Colton Lane behind him. He's going to slide in line of Basaw for now on the backstretch. Back down into 3 and 4. He gets another big run, but a little bit of a checkup there, and we might see the accordion factor play out once again.
Definitely, as Colton Lane decides to take a look, he's going to see what he can do, but Chatley makes a slight defensive move there as we take on board with Chatley looking back at Colton Lane. Yeah, it looks like Chatley was just a little bit defensive there as they start to go into 3 and 4 here. And actually, the leaders are going to have to deal with some lap traffic, I believe.
Fight for 8th place right now. Bradley Holly getting around John LaBath. No surprise to see Holly already picking up 3 spots since his pit stop. He got stuck further back in the field, and it's been a fight forward, a fight uphill for him all night, but he's making it work so far, and since we are so early in the race, he's still got a very good shot at the end of this thing, but like you said with the leaders, J.R. Smith over a second ahead of everyone else already.
As we saw Lane make a move on Chatley there. Yeah, J.R. Smith really starting to pull away there as we take a look at Rob Haynes under pressure from William Hartman. William Hartman looks like he doesn't need those tires to make forward progress. He's really putting the pressure there on Rob.
This might work out perfectly for Hartman with those 2 tires. Like you said, putting the pressure right now, very hard pressure on Haynes. Gets another decent run out of turn 2. But these drivers have to keep in mind, as we go on board with Hartman, drivers do have to keep in mind if we do end up getting a green flag run, they will want to have saved some of their equipment for that run. Hartman looks to be pretty aggressive here in the early stages.
But at the same time, he hasn't really made a move yet on Rob Haynes, just pressuring him, trying to make him make a mistake, I guess. And that might actually make it so that he has better tires for the longer run. Yeah, for 2 tires, so he's definitely thinking about those tires. And we'll see whether or not he can stretch those out.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see him already kind of start to think about those tires. He takes a much later apex into the turn, try to save those Goodyear Eagles underneath him. They have really caught up to the likes of J.R. Smith, though. He must have gotten loose or something. All of a sudden, that gap has gone away, down to 0.2 of a second over Haynes.
Yeah, looking at J.R. Smith as he goes into the corner, as you could see in that onboard shot, his back end's getting a little bit out here as we go into the corners. He's having a hard time. He's having a really hard time trying to keep that back end of the truck underneath him. And that might have something to do with brake bias. It also just might have something to do with where he's releasing the throttle going into the corner. He might be getting into it a little too hot and pushing through, and that's really going to wear his tires down later on in the run.
You saw they're riding on board with them as well. The Hartman was trying to take a peek underneath Rob Haynes for a second. He does it again, and this time he's actually going to be able to clear him coming out of turn 4. So move William Hartman and his 2 tires up into second. Behind them for 4th, Colton Lane looking under Robert Basaw. He's going to take that position as well.
Interesting swaps there for 2nd and 3rd and 4th and 5th there. Very interesting. We'll see what these new leaders of the duos can do here and see whether they can make any more forward progress towards J.R. Smith.
Rob Haynes trying to get a run on Hartman and not quite able to do so. Not there anyway, down into 3 and 4. Yeah, Hartman just looks so perfect right now in this stage of the race.
Yeah, I know these guys have fixed setups, but it looks like Hartman just has his dialed in. He's really figured out where to let off the throttle. Ooh, wow, Colton Lane hits the wall behind him.
Yeah, let's take a look at this again.
He's coming out of 1 and 2 here. He just gets a little bit loose and a little bit out, and then he tries to correct it with some looseness, and that just ends up sending him up into the wall. This is something we're going to see a lot tonight. It'll be interesting to see what he can do to salvage that.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of damage on that number 60 truck. I'm sure the tires are feeling on the right side, but definitely don't want to get in the habit of coming in contact with the wall. Behind him, there is a change for 5th place. Bradley Holly is moving his way around the 44 of Robert Basaw Jr., who continues to fall back.
Actually, yeah, and Bradley Holly's actually the one who's been moving forward, strangely enough. I mean, not strangely enough, we know Holly's fast, but with his damage early on, these fresh trucks like Bassat. Oh no, as Bassat gets into his left rear quarter panel and almost sends him around, but Howley's able to hold on to it. What a miraculous save!
You gotta take a look at that replay. I don't know how Holly stayed with that. So little room for error here when you're gathering yourself back up here at Richmond, but Bradley Holly not only saved it, he's still running inside the top 10. Look at this.
Absolutely heroic move there from Bradley Holly. He's really not had the best day. He's going to have a fire under his hood right now as he tries to make the way past Mike Richter and try and climb his way back up to those top 5 spots.
Bradley Holly with 2 wins this season out of the 4 rounds, and he came off of a second place finish last week as well. Rockingham and Texas, those 2 wins is where he picked that up. The 2 biggest tracks we've been to, so Richmond being the 3rd biggest. Hopefully for him, he keeps that streak going. Oh, he's a very risky maneuver around Richter there. He almost came up and chopped his nose off and sent himself into the wall.
It may not be go time for anyone else, but it's go time for Bradley Holly as he pulls away. Wow, he's really rigging out that truck right now, trying to get every single inch out of it. He's really hoping, I guess he's not really hoping for a caution right now, but he's hoping for one fairly soon because he's really spending these tires.
Take a look at the leaders here. J.R. Smith still holding off William Hartman, but actually Smith's going to go high here in 3 and 4, and that number 67 truck gets, actually into the wall. The 67 of Hartman gets around him, and I was about to say he continues to eat into that lead, but that was a chomp.
And that just confirms to me that J.R. Smith's been getting into the corners a little bit hot, got a little bit too hot there, wasn't able to get enough braking force, and just slides right up off. I told you turn 4 is a really challenging one to get right, and that shows exactly why. With the curve of the dogleg on the back stretch, on the front stretch rather, this makes it really difficult to judge where your corner exit is going to end.
J.R. Smith continuing to try to fight back on the outside. He's had some handling problems early in the race. We've seen he's got to hold off Rob Haynes, though. He looks like looks like he's got his truck much more under control right now, and I think in a couple of laps he's going to be knocking on the door there for second.
And believe it or not, J.R. Smith has actually clawed back some time against William Hartman. William Hartman might be backing off, though, pushing so hard to get up to J.R. Smith in the last couple of laps. But these 3 are just starting to accordion together a little bit. It'll be interesting to see what happens now.
Take a look at Bradley Holly because he is just shaking off his 2 big scares of this race like nothing ever happened. He's already up to 8th. He just got around Austin Hunter with a pretty aggressive move on the bottom, and he's chasing down John LeBaffre as we speak.
We've seen that LeBaffre was fast before that incident that he had early on in the race, but Bradley Holly making these guys look honestly look like they're mid-pack contenders, so these are some of the fastest guys in the series. But their tires are starting to go, and Bradley Holly is really managing his quite well. He's getting really good corner exits and making sure to keep that truck woed down the corner so he can get a straight shot off.
They come up to 64 laps to go. Just about at the halfway mark here at Richmond. Oh, Holly trying to dive it in deep there last second. Almost makes contact with LeBaffre coming out of turn 2. But he's got the nose, he's got the edge down into 3. Let's see if he can make this work because LeBaffre in the 911 truck, he's getting a big run out of 4 onto the front stretch. Ronald McManus is the lap truck they're getting around here. That'll put a pause into the action temporarily. And while this is happening, we've been having a battle for second place because Rob Haynes, like I said, I thought he might be catching J.R. Smith in the next couple of laps. Well, he has caught him there for second.
Yeah, J.R. Smith's tires are super hot. We'll see whether he does it again, but almost every corner now, he's really struggling to maintain traction on those rear tires once he gets onto the straights. As you can see, he's kind of like fleeing the car into the corner, and that's really going to burn off those rear tires as they start to approach the lapped car of Eric Roberts here.
We'll stick with this, but I can update you that Bradley Holly has indeed made his way up to 7th, getting around John LaBaffe. He's got a ways to go till his next victim in Brendan Chatley in 6th. But we'll keep an eye on him as well as we watch the battle for 2nd unfold. Like you said, getting around Eric Roberts there. That's going to be a close call for J.R. Smith. Loses it on the front stretch once again, but he gets it gathered up, and he keeps that position.
There's those rear tires I was talking about. He's really heated them up. He's having a really hard time keeping it down low. He's able to just sneak in front of Roberts there as he flings the car to 3 and 4 again, trying to keep that position from Rob Haynes. He's hoping for a caution too, J.R. Smith.
GSRC's already covered one dirt race tonight, but it's looking like we're covering another one right now for J.R. Smith. He has got to get that truck gathered up if he wants to make it to the finish here. Rob Haynes gets around that lapped truck. Colton Lane does as well. Basaw is about to, so that will be no problem for them as this single file line will get back going at it once again.
Yeah, and all that battling, all that trouble with the lap traffic has allowed Colton Lane to slip right in with these front 3 as J.R. Smith goes wide in the corner and Rob Haynes decides to take this opportunity to go underneath. We'll see whether J.R. Smith can hold it on the outside. It's unlikely though as Rob Haynes sticks it on the bottom, but J.R. Smith pitches him out, coming out of 4.
J.R. Smith's going to have that position one way or another because Rob Haynes has been denied 2nd place once again. He's going to try to get down to the bottom once again through 1 and 2. Nothing there. It's a big run out of the corner for J.R. Smith. Finally, a perfect looking turn for Smith in front of him, holding him off.
It's not what Rob Haynes wants to see. It's also not what Colton Lane wants to see. Colton Lane wants to see these two battle it out even more so that he can maybe make an opportunity and get on the inside of both of them.
The charge continues for everyone out back. This has become a bit of a 4-car breakaway here in this little section. 5 if you include the lapped traffic of Eric Robert. But 5 trucks strung together here, all single file for now, but once in a while making a little move to the bottom. Not to put aside the battle for 8th place that we have going on with 4 more trucks behind them. John LaBaffe currently holding off Richter, but Richter's got pressure from Hunter, who's going to try to squeeze down in 3 and 4. Almost made that work. Instead, he hits that yellow line and gets a big wobble out of turn 4 onto the front stretch.
Yeah, LaBaffe has really been struggling with corner exit. His entry's fine, but his exit's really struggling right now. I think he's having loose problems too as Mike Richter makes the pass, goes underneath, and now John LaBaffe hits the wall coming out. That's going to allow the likes of Charles Sumner to try and make a pass.
Sumner caught him there, but he kind of had an awkward corner entrance, and that gives the Baff the edge on the corner exit back onto the front stretch and the dog leg once again. They dive it down into 1 and 2, and like you said, John LaBaffe just gets a little loose. Those rear wheels hotted up, and a little bit of bump drafting going on down the backstretch between these two as well.
Yeah, LaBaffe now, he can't keep it down on the entry of the corner. Everyone's really struggling with grip here. That's making passing nearly impossible, but also just driving nearly impossible. These truckers are really wrangling these trucks around here.
Yeah, we saw a long green flag at Bristol, but not nearly with this much emphasis on the tire. Check back in with our, not our leaders necessarily, but our drivers in 2nd place. They're all still chasing William Hartman, the leader. It's J.R. Smith who's pulled a little bit of a gap over Rob Haynes, about 5/10 of a second. Colton Lane and Robert Basaw Jr. still chasing him.
While we were there, I can update you. John LaBaffe got extremely loose coming out of 1 and 2, and he's lost a lot of positions. He's down back to 11th position as we take a look still at our 2nd place battle.
Drivers kind of in the stage where they're trying to log off laps, I think, but at the same time trying to keep these trucks underneath them. We are under 50 laps to go. We've got 49 to go, I believe.
And here's the big surprise. J.R. Smith. Okay, we're actually going to go back here to Brendan Chatley and Bradley Hawley as Hawley's making his way up the field really nicely. It's just an amazingly clean pass there on Chatley. That's a really big surprise considering how much they've been battling recently in the last couple of rounds. Bradley Holly just has taken care of his truck, and he's making that pass work.
Yeah, and a couple dozen laps ago, Holly had a 1.5 second gap up to Chatley. So despite the strains that Holly has gone through tonight, really made that work. It's unbelievable what Holly's been able to do with the 184 truck tonight. If he doesn't get on the podium, and if he doesn't get a top 5, that stat is not going to do him justice for the drive that he's had tonight at all.
Definitely not. He's got another 1.8 seconds up to Robert Bassett Jr. in 5th position. That'd be a top 5 for him as we cross into lap 85 here. It's going to be very interesting to see what kind of night Bradley Holly can make of this if we do go green all the way.
I'm also curious as to what the fuel situations are for the drivers. Like we said, we're up to an 85% fuel maximum tank for these guys instead of 70. And we did have those 2 early cautions, so it'll be interesting to see if that plays out or if they're good to go.
Oh no, J.R. Smith
trouble.
has lost it up front at P2. He almost lost it, but now they're going to go side by side into 3 and 4. Doors banged there as Rob Haynes and J.R. Smith really battling it out. Gosh, J.R. Smith just barely hanging on underneath.
That truck just wants to snap, but J.R. Smith won't quite let it. He hasn't made any contact with a wall. He did make contact there with Rob Haynes a little bit. Haynes takes that position away from him. This is unbelievable. Take a look at his hands here and the strength that his arms had to go through.
Really fascinating here as he goes into 1 and 2. Let's see whether he struggles with it exiting the corner. They've been really, take a look. Wow, a lot of right-hand turn there just to get the truck straightened out there entering the backstretch. It's going to make it really difficult to really feel where the grip is on this front stretch through the dogleg. It's a miracle none of these guys have gone around.
And I'm shocked that he's been able to hold down 3rd place so consistently so far the last half dozen laps or so over Colton Lane. You would imagine that at this point J.R. Smith's just about riding on rims out there. But he's making it work despite all of the issues he's gone through.
Yeah, those front 4 have really split out about evenly, but what I was going to say before I went back and took a look at Bradley Holly is that the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th drivers have really closed up surprisingly a lot on William Hartman. So it's interesting to see, as we take a look at Colton Lane going underneath the likes of J.R. Smith, we'll see what J.R. Smith can do this time to hold on as Colton Lane gets a little bit loose exiting the corner.
Last lap around, it was turn 2 for J.R. Smith and turn 4 for Colton Lane. They kind of equal out. Bassett jumps to the outside there for a moment. He's going to try to cross him over on the backstretch, and I think he's going to have the advantage. The 44 truck, well, maybe not quite. He tried to dive in underneath him, didn't quite make it work. So these 3 drivers stay in line, or it's a very wiggly line they're staying in, but single file for now.
Lane starting to get consistently loose off of 4. That's going to make Robert Bassett Jr. lick his lips. He knows that he has a chance here if he can get a good run off of him.
While all this is happening, Rob Haynes, who moved up into 2nd, he is slowly closing in on the leader, William Hartman. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Trouble, the 33 is finally around. Smith's gone. Bassett involved in this. It looks like Holly also got tangled up in this. This is a mess on the backstretch.
What a turn of events. I mean, he was hanging on to it for so long, and finally it just got the better of him. Colton Lane getting a little bit... Wow, Colton Lane dodged that! What an amazing move by him to hold on the brakes as we go on board with Lane now for the replay. Take a look at this.
Yeah, wow. That's pretty incredible. And I also reported that Holly... I also said that Holly got tangled up in this, but if you take an onboard look with Bradley Holly, he actually as well somehow got through this mess with not a single piece of contact.
We're going to take a look here at Bradley Holly as we can report everyone's coming into the pits now. Let's take a look at this. He's going into 1 and 2 here. He sees the accident happening up ahead, and he just woes it down, slows it up, and then is able to maneuver. And that, my friends, is why you brake in an accident.
Back live, the race off pit road. It looks like it's going to be William Hartman. No surprise there. From the lead and keeps the lead. Rob Haynes behind him. Bradley Holly has moved up into third, though, it looks like, with that.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
That's the last thing that Rob Haynes and William Hartman wanted to see is Bradley Holly in their mirror. And he's also going to start on the inside of row 2. That's going to make this a very, very interesting restart. We'll see whether Rob Haynes can do anything with this, but the likes of Holly underneath him, that's going to be a really difficult thing.
This is going to get interesting, folks. We're down to 35 laps to go here at Richmond Raceway. This has been an exciting one so far. We've seen tire strategy play out. We know that they're good on fuel now until the end, but that was a concern for a while. We saw drivers struggling with handling, and some drivers like Bradley Holly get caught up in multiple accidents, but has somehow been able to get his way out of being severely harmed from them and fight his way up to a P3 right now.
Yeah, it's an impressive run from Holly, especially with all the adversity he's had. We also have Mike Richter there in 4th position. Mike is up 6 spots from his starting position. Brendan Chatley, he's been up there for a while, holding steady in 5th. He's up 4 positions from his starting position. And so these guys up front, they've really fought to be here, especially William Hartman, up 15 spots from his starting position.
Yeah, a couple of these drivers taking advantage of all the attrition that we saw, despite that very long green flag run. J.R. Smith has taken his truck behind the wall. They've packed it into the virtual hauler for the day. So there will be no repeat winner this week in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series.
It's a shame for J.R. Smith. He was doing really well. He just took a little bit too much out of his tires at the beginning of that run, and then unfortunately wasn't able to hang on to it. As we have our Lucky Dog truck starting to go around here, we're going to let double file, and that puts Bradley Holly right behind the likes of William Hartman, sticking Rob Haynes up top. We'll see what he can do with it.
It'll be 32 laps to go when they take the green flag, and I said there would be no back-to-back winner with J.R. Smith. Well, that's not to mention that there might not be a driver that gets his 3rd win of the season, because Bradley Holly, that is what he's going for, trying to get his 3rd win in 4 races. Pace car pulls off, a little bit of a checkup, but Hartman gets on the loud pedal the quickest. He hits the front stretch, and already you can see Bradley Holly diving it in underneath Rob Haynes behind him and trying to take 2nd place away from him.
Rob Haynes packed in really deep into 1 and 2. He's trying to hold on to that spot, but that's going to put him almost into the wall on the outside there as they start to check up behind him as one of the cars gets loose. I believe that was Mike Richter.
Yeah, Mike Richter, indeed. He almost came down into Chatley, but they keep it clean so far. They're side-by-side for 4th, but they're also side-by-side for 2nd. Rob Haynes stuck on the outside. Holly still trying to fight his way around the 29 machine.
Haynes trying to hang on to it, making Bradley Holly do the work on the bottom. It's really working out right now, but I don't know how much longer Haynes can hang on there. It's, wow, bumping and banging behind him. Brendan Chatley getting into the back of Mike Richter, pushing him through 3 and 4.
He wants to take that position. He's going to be aggressive. The chrome horns are out, especially for the established traffic control number 51 truck, or 59 truck rather, of Brendan Chatley, pushing the 51 truck, that is, into the corners.
He's doing it again here.
He's making it work cleanly, though. I'll give him credit.
I think that's as much credit to Mike Richter as Brendan Chatley. I mean, these two guys are really duking it out. It's really fascinating to see what kind of different lines they take. Brendan Chatley's got a much better run through 3 and 4, whereas Mike Richter really pulls away in 1 and 2. They seem surprisingly evenly matched.
Well, they got to go for it. You can't blame them there. Time is running down here in round 5 of the season at Richmond. Back up for the lead. Bradley Holly is caught. Hartman, he's putting the pressure on him coming into turn number 3. He might get a big run out of turn 4. It looks that way. He's going to dive it down to the bottom.
And guys, it looks like unfortunately we're having some iRacing issues. Yeah, it looks
Trying
like
to stick with it here, but hopefully we can work out some difficulties. Let's go to break. We'll try to get these issues sorted out. Actually, it looks like we're good. So false alarm there. And, well, I can report to you that Bradley Holly has cycled through the lead. They've gotten around William Hartman there in third. Once again, we apologize for that. But Rob Haynes has moved up into second.
it's quite a surprise. It looks like everyone was having issues. The standings have shuffled significantly. We have Bradley Holly in first now. Rob Haynes surprisingly in second. William Hartman down to third position and about half a second back of Haynes. Brendan Chatley's moved up to fourth and Asa Hunter into fifth. Colton Lane back to sixth position. This has really shuffled up everything as we start to get times rolling back in.
They're down to 25 laps to go. Can anyone chase down Bradley Holly in the 184, or is he going to get that third win of the season out of just the first 5 races in the PRL NASCAR Truck season or series? If anyone's going to do it, I think it's going to be Rob Haynes. He's got the speed. He's shown the consistency. He's there in second to the 29 machine, and he's trying to size him up.
Interesting to see what he does here. I mean, Haynes has really got to bide his time. He's got to find the place where Holly is weak. He's got to really size up his competitor like a predator sizing up his prey and decide when he's going to pounce. When's the best time? Where does Holly use up the most of his tires, and try and force him to use it up even more in those situations.
Taking a ride off the rear deck of Holly here. Looking back at the hard-charging Rob Haynes, but also the patient Rob Haynes. He's got William Hartman behind him. I don't know if Hartman's going to have anything for Haynes, but he might in the matter of 2 dozen laps.
This battle for the lead is the closest battle we have on track as Hartman tries to attach onto the back of them. Haynes is just biding his time, just trying to take care of those tires, especially as the sun comes out. It's going to heat up the track right now. We're at 85 degrees right now in track temperature. That's about where it's been all day, so these truckers know what this feels like. As Haynes looks like he's backing off quite a bit here. Take a look at this track temperature, 85 degrees. It's about normal. 46 is where I think that humidity is really catching people off guard. Wind is not a factor at 4 degrees here. But as we take a look now, Haynes is starting to close in a little bit on Holly now.
Yeah, absolutely. The sun is starting to set here over Strawberry Hill. On board with Haynes right now, looking forward. Once again, that gap not really growing or shrinking to Bradley Holly, but he does have William Hartman, I think, just very microscopically closing in on him behind him for second.
Yeah, Hartman's chopping off about somewhere between half a tenth to a tenth every lap. And so we'll see whether or not Hartman decides he wants to challenge Haynes, or maybe make an opportunity to try and push Haynes up to Holly. But maybe Hartman thinks he's got something for Holly and wants to get by him as soon as possible.
Every point matters, but if you're trying to take down the lead dog, you might have to work together here, especially when you've got Bradley Holly, the points leader, and the dominant force here in the first half of the season, leading this race. On lap 109 right now out of 125.
Yeah, Hartman's got Haynes' number, it looks like. Hartman's just getting a much better exit out of 1 and 2. He's using up a lot more tires, though, and if this goes all the way to the end, that's going to come back to bite him. It looks like Haynes is starting to get a little bit loose coming off the corner, as are all of them. But it looks like Hartman's handling it better than all the 2 guys in front of him, absolutely.
Well, the city of Richmond is not new to seeing battles fought in it, and we are watching a fantastic one here. William Hartman trying to chase down Rob Haynes for second, but like you said, Adam, is he going to push the issue? Because they are catching Holly by not going side by side and battling too hard.
It's a risk he's going to have to take. I mean, like, he doesn't want to end up second. He wants to end up third. He wants to end up first. But at the same time, like, if first isn't an option, I mean, Holly's fast, and Holly might just be biding his time here. He might just make the opportunity to make the pass on Rob Haynes. But it looks like he really is pushing Haynes up to Holly right now.
Coming through 3 and 4. Once again. Bradley Holly, I'm sure he's trying to ignore watching his mirror, but that's so hard to do as a driver. He's trying to just keep his eyes glued out the front and race his own race, but it looks like that gap is shrinking. You're right.
As Hartman looks like he's having a little bit of trouble there off of 1 and 2. These trucks are starting to get a little bit more slidey, and this is when we saw Holly come into his zone. I wouldn't be surprised to see Holly pull away here as Hartman is starting to take a look on Haynes. He might have had enough waiting behind him.
What did these two drivers behind Bradley Holly learn during that last long green flag stint regarding their tire wear? Is it enough knowledge to give them the edge here late in the race, or is Bradley Holly still going to be too fast for them late in the event? Haynes still holding off Hartman. Hartman not pressing the issue too severely. But what is Haynes more focused on right now? Defending Hartman or chasing down Holly? That's another factor that goes into the end of this thing.
Interestingly enough, it looks like Rob Haynes is entering the corner a little bit earlier than Hartman. That's emphasizing his loose off. As you can see, he dives down to the inside, and Hartman gets there almost a full second later. That makes Rob Haynes loose off a lot more prominent, and that's going to heat up the rear tires and make Hartman get even closer.
Ten laps to go. 9 to go, rather. He's charging hard. Take a look at Chatley and Hunter. These guys are battling right behind him. A couple seconds back, 2 or 3 seconds back for 4th place. It's been a good battle ongoing. Taking a peek out of the corner of my eye once in a while. And Austin Hunter in the 312, we haven't seen him too much tonight. He's had a pretty quiet night, but looking for a potential 4th place here around Brendan Chatley.
It's a pretty solid top 5 for both of these drivers, especially the likes of Austin Hunter, especially after his unfortunate events that happened a couple weeks ago in his races. Looks like he's biding his time. He's going to try and make an opportunity work later on in the race.
They'll be sneaking up on the lapped truck of Ronald McManus here soon. That the leaders, that the top 3 just went by cleanly, so no problems for them regarding that. Take a look back at the top 3. Hartman is really pushing the issue. Adam, I would say that if Hartman, if you're sitting there right now, when do you go? When do you decide that, all right, you're probably not going to win this thing, so you might as well go for second?
Quite frankly, I go now because I might be able to win this thing. And if I am able to move him out of line or something and we get another restart, I mean, like, I know that sounds like dirty tactics, but at the same time, I'm here to win. I'm not here to get second place. So at this point, I need to go. I need to go now, and I need to try and catch Bradley Holly. There's no time for waiting, no time for snoozing at all. Now is go time.
Yeah, it's 5, now 4.5 laps to go here at Richmond Raceway. Maybe a little bit of a charge there forward for Rob Haynes. It did put a bit of a gap between him and Hartman, so might be go time for Haynes as well. Not a great exit there for Hartman.
Hartman he's pushing really hard right now. He's trying to maintain his speed through the corners, and that's really causing him to struggle on corner exit. Bradley Holly's the guy to look for what kind of discipline you need to have on these longer runs. Hartman seems to be just getting desperate and trying to carry more speed through the corner and actually slow in, fast out. They say it all the time, the pro drivers, and this is one of the best tracks that shows that as an example of how to race.
Looks like Austin Hunter is going to move himself into 4th place. He's trying to get around Brendan Chatley right now. They're actually still side by side. Chatley's number 59 machine fighting hard on the outside with 2 laps to go.
Taking a look. Definitely Chatley really trying to make it work there, but he's going to go really wide, clip the wall. He's still going to keep his foot in it. No surprise here, especially with 2 to go, as they dive down into 3 and 4, going for the white flag.
Back up to the top because there's 1 more lap to go for Bradley Holly. It has been a dominant start to the season. Martinsville got caught up in some issues, but after that, Rockingham in Texas, he went on to sweep those races. Last week at Bristol, came up just shy of the win, got a 2nd place, but tonight he reverses the storyline, and Bradley Holly is going to take his 3rd win of the series here in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series. Coming across the line back further, it looks like not only did Austin Hunter get around Chatley, Colton Lane did as well. So Lane will move up into 5th. We are going to take a quick break here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. That will do it for this race. Stick around. We've got race results and interviews when we come back. Welcome back to the capital city of Virginia, where Bradley Holly racks up another capital W in his stats. He is going to take the win here at Richmond Raceway in round 5 of the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, followed by Rob Haynes and William Hartman. What a heck of a battle that was behind him for the top 3. Austin Hunter moved up into 4th late in the race. Colton Lane got around Chatley just barely. 0.3 of a second separated them at the line. Charles Sumner, Mike Richter, Ray Richer, and John LaBaff will round out the top 10.
Coming home in 11th position, we're going to have the likes of Ronald McManus. Then we have Eric Roberts in 12th position. J.R. Smith, truck to go back to the hauler, we have in 13th position. Then we have Robert Passad Jr. in 14th. Dominic Bajin in 15th. Alec Lumpkin in 16th. And then Thomas Sick and Alex Murray did not take the grid.
All right. Well, we've got our first driver to talk to, and it's one we've talked to before. Bradley, that was a heck of a race you had there.
Yeah, it was probably one of the another stressful one for me.
Yeah, that was. I mean, you were caught up in so many incidents in the first half of this race. Did you think those? Did you think you were gonna finish your race off early in those scenarios?
No, I as soon as I saw trouble, I would back it down and make sure I didn't get involved. I know the first little spin I had was probably the closest incident I had.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a scary thing, I'm sure, both times. This winning streak, though, do you see any signs of it letting off? Because we're shifting away from the short tracks here. We have tracks like Dega next week.
Yeah, I'm hoping I still get top threes top fives, whatever I need to do to win this championship. I honestly didn't think I was barely going to get a top five today.
Yeah, there were times when it looked like it was going to be a hectic one for you, but you made it work, so congratulations on your third win of the season. Hopefully, we get to talk to you again.
Thank you very much.
That was Brad Holly getting the win in this series once again. Adam, you've caught up to our second place finisher, Rob Haynes.
Absolutely. Rob Haynes from second on the grid to second finishing position. Man, dude, consistency seems to be your thing. How'd you pull it off today?
Man, tough fight tonight, guys. Just hard racing and trying to stay up front. Track position was everything here tonight, and just trying to stay up front in a good position and playing no games on pit road. Trying to just take 4 tires straight in, straight out, and keep that track position. It was important tonight. Truck was loose into 1 for me and really pushy off 4. You had to really manage the throttle through 3 and 4 there, so you didn't catch that wall on the outside, and worked out for me tonight. I'm ecstatic, man. It was a good run. Congrats to Brad and William behind me there. I hate to see the technical glitch affect William there, but hey, it's a race, and I'll take the second. Appreciate it, guys.
Definitely, Rob. And what do you think about your chances going into Dega next?
Wow, Dega coming up. It's that's a wild card. We all know that, and man, I'll head in there with good thoughts and hopefully have some.
Definitely, Rob. Well, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us tonight, man. All right, Nick, it sounds like we have William Hartman, our third place driver, on deck right now.
We do indeed, William. Great race tonight, but it looked like you had the lead there through the middle part of the race, and what went wrong for you halfway through?
Yeah, got the lead there. Kind of was able to check out a little bit, get a comfortable margin on those guys, and just try and save my stuff for the end. And really wanted it to go green there to the end, but unfortunately had an incident and re-racked the field. And then, man, I did not have the short run speed to keep up with some of those guys. So it was kind of unfortunate that it ended up playing out the way it was. But coming into the race, I was going to be happy with the top 5, so I can't be too upset about a third place.
Yeah, we saw you especially with a varying tire strategy early on in the race, and saw everyone struggle with handling tonight. Did that play out for you well tonight? Were tires a huge factor, or did you have that under control pretty much?
Yeah, I mean, tires were going to be a big deal coming into the race, and we kind of knew that. And unfortunately, had a poor qualifying effort. Myself and actually Brad both had to start from the tail of the field, so we got an early opportunity to come in and put tires without too much of a position penalty, and that kind of helped us have a little bit fresher tires than everybody for that bulk run of the race. So it was definitely a huge priority coming into the race to make sure that you were not going to get stuck out there on older stuff than everybody else, because there's no way you'd be able to compete.
All right. Well, you had a 4th last week at Bristol. You have a 3rd this week. We're seeing you slowly creep up through the field. And who knows? Maybe we'll get to talk to you in Victory Lane someday here in the near future.
All right. Yep. We're looking forward to it.
All right. That was William Hartman there, your 3rd place finisher. And that's just about gonna do it for us tonight. We want to give a special thank you to everyone who came out tonight for the 5th round in the PRL NASCAR Truck Series, especially everyone who helps in the organization and the behind-the-scenes logistics in the Precision Racing League. We also want to thank Established Traffic Control once again for sponsoring tonight's race, and an additional thanks to all the amazing companies that provide the software and hardware that we use to create a GSRC production for you. We also, of course, want to thank the very talented June Lalonde, who provides our music. See the screen for more on how to get a hold of more of her great work. Also, thanks to the team tonight, Adam, Sean, and Dougie. Make sure you check the GSRC out on social media. You can do that on our website on globalsimracingchannel.com, on Twitter at GSR Channel, on Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, on Instagram at GSR_Graham, and of course on our YouTube channel right here, right now. I invite you to scroll down just a touch and hit that big red subscribe button so you don't miss a second of racing. That's going to do it for the racing tonight in Virginia, but I highly encourage that you stick around here on the Global Sim Racing Channel, because at 10:30 Eastern, the Sim Racers for Mental Health Series, another truck series, kicks off their season at Pocono Raceway, so I highly recommend you stick around for more exciting racing. Also, the PRL NASCAR Truck Series will be back next Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern for Round 6. It's a party down on Talladega Boulevard, like we said, for some more absolutely fantastic racing. Mark your calendars and come join us for that. Finally, with all that being said, thank you so much for joining us on the broadcast tonight. And until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.